Alabama took care of Tennessee. We're going to break it down for you. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort right here on the Bama Tailgate Show with Mike Johnson. I'm Mick Gillespie. It was a 17-point win for the Crimson Tide. I'd say that's a blowout against a ranked Tennessee team that I think is a pretty good team. We're going to get into all that right here on the channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's go. All right, what do you say, everybody? There he is, Mike Johnson, Mick Gillespie, brought to you by Pearl River. The Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses at Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. It's the Augusta you can play, and it's an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa and 2 and change from Birmingham. Mike, Bama took care of business. It was a play right at the end of the first half that kind of is going to be that Daniel Moore signature play, but there was a lot more going on than just that one play. Your thoughts on that 37-20 win?
Yeah, man. Like they just keep doing it, don't they? 4 straight against ranked opponents, and a couple of those teams. I think Vanderbilt, Missouri get College Game Day this weekend, so that'll be really interesting. But I mean, my overall takeaway, I got some on the field, some off the field. All right, my on the field one. We're just so well-rounded, and it's, Jam Miller was back from the concussion. I was excited to see him. It didn't seem like the running game could fully come together, which was frustrating. But we can beat you so many different ways. Ty Simpson has been so good at kind of picking defenses apart and, moving around in the pocket and being able to throw strikes down the field. The receivers stepping up and making plays, which was awesome. And so, the defense rose up to the occasion when necessary. And like you said, right before half, you get that play that absolutely swung the momentum of the entire game, really the game clinching play. It felt like right there at halftime. I mean, you've already seen the videos start to come out of Tennessee fans that are, ripping their shirts and all kinds of stuff when that play happens. It reminded me of the videos that came out when Terrence Cody blocked the field goal, and the guy's watching on TV in his living room. Yeah. And he's like, come on, kicker, or whatever he said. And could they not have blocked Cody? The wife says anyways. But yeah, man, a lot of fun to watch. Good team win. Flying around, playing team football, playing complimentary football, which is always nice to see. And, look, man, it's like I said, they can do a lot of different things really, really well. And then off the field, I thought there was a couple things as well, man. I think we're really, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're always so much better at this than me. I feel like we're really getting an inside look into what Kalen DeBoer is off the field. Right. Some of the videos coming out of, players getting in arguments after the game, things like that. Kalen DeBoer putting his arm around certain players and talking to them on the way off the field. And it's awesome because I think last year there was so many different off-field situations that were kind of in the crosshairs of the fan base. Jalen Milroe, the up and down play. Remember the whole Malachi Moore thing against Vanderbilt, which I thought was just hideous looking for the program. Thought it was awful to see Malachi Moore able to do that. And I wanted Kalen DeBoer to have more accountability. Remember, we got on here and talked about it. I was like, why is this kid not suspended? Why are we not doing more to make sure that there's an accountability factor? I think we're starting to get more of an inside look into Kalen DeBoer and the way he interacts with these players and this team. And I think it's awesome, man. You see guys that he's recruited that are coming in and kind of making an impact and, pushing older guys out of the way. And this program right now is only getting better. I mean, kudos to Ty Simpson. I would love to see him for another year, but that guy as it stands right now is probably the Heisman front runner and number 1 pick in the draft. So it's just been crazy to see how far you've come since that Florida State game and really get an inside look over the last few days at what this program actually is.
Yeah, it's too bad the season isn't ending right now, right? Because Ty would be the Heisman Trophy winner and Bama would be in the playoff and Auburn's gone down the tube, but there's a lot of football left to be played, and that's been the biggest thing to me is their inability to focus on the next game. And they've done a great job of fixing that this year. They're beating all these teams that are ranked. They're good teams. You saw Vanderbilt take care of LSU. I watched that entire game. Vanderbilt's a really good team, man. I mean, we saw it last year, so it's not like we're really that surprised. But it's just that could turn out to be one of Bama's signature wins this season.
I don't think Mizzou's that far off. It really is kind of crazy, and I don't know how much you paid attention to Brian Kelly afterwards, but you want to talk about a couple of coaches that their seat is absolutely torched right now. That's Brian Kelly and then Mike Norvell at Florida State, which is just crazy how that program has spiraled since that opening win of the season, man. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. The Vanderbilt win, and we knew it was at the time. We knew it was going to be a massive game. Bama was not going to get the credit they deserve for beating Vanderbilt, and that was that game was blow for blow. But you create some red zone turnovers and come away with the win. Gritty performance. I just can't say enough about what Bama's been able to do and Kalen DeBoer over the last 4 weeks. What this team's been able to accomplish, man. It's really, really impressive. I think in 2009 when we went undefeated, we didn't play as many ranked teams as this team is scheduled to play. We did play, division champs or conference champs, Virginia Tech being one. And, there was all kinds of stuff going on with that. But it's just crazy the gauntlet they've gone through. And, just looking forward to the next couple of weeks. Still got a couple more left to go, man. It's going to be a really tough challenge for this team to be able to step up to the plate. But I think they've shown the ability to do it. There's no doubt.
So they beat Tennessee. We didn't have Caden Proctor on the offensive side of the ball. We did have him grab one dude and throw him into another guy on a touchdown run. You guys can get the Caden Proctor print, which is right below me, 20% off when you use our promo code Bama Tailgate at newlifeart.com. So
what's the name?
Crispy Screen. I guess he's a big Krispy Kreme guy.
That is just so incredible. I mean, that is just so incredible. And I'll tell you this much too, and I don't know if you even thought about this. It's so awesome that Daniel Moore is able to make these paintings and feature Caden Proctor, while he's still in school. And I don't know the financials. I'm not going to go into all that, but most of the time, Daniel Moore tried to wait until these careers were over before he'd make these paintings because, obviously you didn't have the NIL, you didn't have all the other stuff. So a lot of times the paintings would come out and it'd be seniors that were leaving the program and things like that. But Caden Proctor's squarely there right now. Now he might be, he might leave school this after this fall, but nonetheless, it's really, really cool to see those prints start to come out, man. And that's a big man's dream right there.
Yeah, finally, right? To have that. And I think he's gonna have to do a Zabian Brown print. I mean,
think so.
Yeah, because that is the signature moment right now of the season. I mean, like that, they're pushing us around. They kicked a field goal, which is what I would have done. You're down 6, right? They scored the touchdown to start the second half, after we had that bad punt and everything. And all of a sudden they would have been up a point. It's a different game.
Yeah.
Instead this guy's like pushing, he's thinking, well, I'll get a touchdown. And instead I'll be down 2, right? Because of the safety in 16-14. Instead he throws a pick 6. And then from that point on, they were done, and then, Shank, by the way, happy birthday to Shank. Everybody make sure that you wish him a happy birthday. He tweets out, like, basically it serves you right for not running the ball from the 1 yard line.
Dude.
Like an offensive lineman would think, right?
I know that you don't. I know you probably weren't paying attention, but obviously I work for the Atlanta Falcons radio network, and they had 4th and 1 with the game on the line last night, and they threw a 5-yard out to Drake London, and I almost lost my mind. I'm like, dude, I can't believe that we're looking at a 4th and 1 with Bijan Robinson on the team. And we decided that we're going to go pistol and run a 5-yard out to Drake London. Pass breakup, the whole thing, game was over. It's just miserable. But yeah, I think that's a good mindset for Shank to have. It's like, it serves you right, dude. Like this is big boy football. All right, you're not going to run the ball right here and try to get it in. You deserve to get that. But it was a bad throw too. I mean, I know that.
Here's what he wrote. He said, "That's what you get for throwing the ball on the 1 yard on the 1 on 4th." Bama pick 6, folks.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny about it, man? And I saw some Tennessee fans on social media. They were complaining about the amount of airtime that Ty Simpson's family was getting. And I was thinking about that throw that Aguilar made. It was a bad throw. I mean, it's behind him, and that's why the ball got picked off. If you're going to miss that throw, you've got to miss wide, out of bounds. And I'm sitting there going, "What did you want? Did you want the TV crew to show his dad after he made like a couple bad throws? Like, I wouldn't have liked that either, And I know that Tennessee fans, didn't like that Greg McElroy's on the call and things like that. It's, poor Greg, man. That guy can't win.
Alabama fans, Mike. Did you read the comments?
I was going to say, the guy can't win. I actually think Greg does a nice job in the booth, kind of breaking things down. And I think he's come a long way in the last, 10 years or whatever it is. But he can't win. The Tennessee fans hate that he's in there and think that he's biased towards Bama, and the Bama fans are like, "Dude, you're just going out of your way to sound like you didn't play at Alabama."
Yeah,
it just cracks me up because I'm like, the guy can't win, man. But
no, I agree.
It's funny, but I cracked up about some of the comments about the broadcast. It's like, oh, you guys, just only showed Ty Simpson's parents and only his family. I'm like, it's not like Aguilar went out there and just lit it up. I mean, he was fine, but that pick six was a big deal. And like we talked about earlier, man, there's videos coming out of people in their living room. There's a guy that watches it and he doesn't react to the interception. But once Xavier Brown, breaks that last tackle around like the 20-yard line, tears his shirt off and like runs out the front door and he's like, "I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I can't do it." Gotta love it.
It was over at that point. It was over at that point.
I don't know why Tennessee fans are so much fun to watch in those situations. I don't know if it's the heartbreak over the years or whatever, man. But man, like every time a video comes out of Tennessee fans in those situations, it's so good. So good.
I got to say this. I work in Knoxville for baseball. I've done it for years, right? I mean, a long time. I love Knoxville, and I live there when when baseball season's going. So the Channel 10 asked me to come on and do a show, and do an interview, right? So I'm like thinking we're going to talk about maybe Tony Vitello, the Tennessee baseball coach, going to and I love Tony.
Yeah,
and this. Tony, as long as he's at Tennessee, that's my team in baseball. I just love Tony. I think he's a great dude, great coach. Love hanging out with him when I see him. And now the Giants are going to hire him, the San Francisco Giants. That's the word, right? I thought, well, they'll probably ask me about that, So anyway, long story short, yesterday on the 6 o'clock news, the lead-in is me, and it's got me smoking cigars from my studio. So we talked for 2 hours, and it's like, I'm thinking to myself, this is not going to be good for my Knoxville brand,
No.
It was totally, I didn't know they were going to take my feed from here.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the whole thing. I said this, and I'll say it again here. Tennessee could have won the game had they kicked the field goal. You can't win the game in the first, second, or third quarter, but you can lose it. They lost the game on that pick six. They were not coming to Tuscaloosa, coming from behind and beating Alabama after giving up that type of play, because it's a 14-point swing there,
Can I play devil's advocate? Because if you remember, and you probably do, you've got a good memory about these things, but do you not remember when we played in Knoxville in 2006? I was a redshirt freshman.
I was there. There.
We kicked a field goal from the 2-yard line.
I remember that.
And dude, I remember thinking to myself, never going to win this game. Never going to win this game. We kicked a field goal from the 2-yard line. I was like, we're cooked.
Yeah, but you guys, but they didn't have time.
I know, but I think it's a mindset thing, right? I think it's Josh. I mean, now granted, you can go back and second guess it. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. But I also think that there's this thing where Josh Heupel's like, dude, we haven't won here in over 20 years. Let's establish the mindset. Let's get these points, and it will completely flip this entire game. We've been pushing them around.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And, Aguilar makes a bad throw, and the ball goes back the other way. It's just
one of the biggest moments in the history of the rivalry.
Oh, I know. I mean,
think about a bigger play. Mount Cody, where the only thing, maybe Roman Harper. I saw Roman Harper at Innisfree on Friday, and Rocky stop. You were there for that one. Tennessee's going in. I think the guy's name was Anderson. Forget his first name. The fullback, something Anderson. And then Roman Harper comes in, fumbles the ball through the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
That was as loud as I ever heard Bryant-Denny Stadium at that moment on that fumble, and then Bama kicked the field goal to beat them. That was an amazing game. But I mean,
Amazing.
you talk about like these contests, right? Maybe our friend Ryan Anderson forcing the fumble on Josh Dobbs in 2015, but not a lot of them have been really that close.
Yeah, I still
18-20 now, by the way, for Alabama.
I tell you what's crazy is I still can't get over the fact that we beat them in 2007. It was the day after it was the day the textbook scandal thing was released. That. And we go out there and we're missing Antoine Caldwell and Marlon Davis, a couple of starting offensive line. We're missing Glenn Coffey, I don't remember who else was kind of involved in that. But, dude, it was like, oh, man, this stinks. Those are good players, dude. It's like 3 starters. And they're out. And we go out and whoop Tennessee. And I think Tennessee won the East that year. If I'm not mistaken, they played LSU in the SEC championship game. And we smoked them. Like, it wasn't even close. And then, a couple of weeks later,
start the game, Mike. That's what changed the momentum. You remember?
What'd you say?
That onside kick to start the game.
Right.
Like,
forgot about that.
What is going on here?
Well, here's the thing. Then we go out like a week or two later, lose to Louisiana Monroe, lose to Mississippi State, lose to Auburn. I'm like, how did we pull that off? Where we just smoked Tennessee the first game out of the blocks, and it was never the same.
Because they got to look at the film with those guys out.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
5 turnovers.
It's not like our game plan. Our game plan didn't change either. We found out about it on Friday night. We were in the hotel, and Antoine Caldwell was like crying, like hugging me. I'm like, dude, what's going on? It's like, I just got suspended, bro. Like, they're not gonna let me play. It's crazy, stuff.
Yeah, and Saban always looks back at that as like the culture problem that he inherited at Alabama.
I know he kind of does, but I don't see it that way, man. I mean, there were guys on that team that were definitely issues. I think, Bama fans that pay attention know the guys that were the issues, guys that didn't want to practice hard, didn't want to do the gritty things, the downfield blocking and things like that. And that was you've heard the story a million times. When I can get rid of you, I'm going to get rid of you. And got the #1 recruiting class in 2008. It's like, bye. See you guys later. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
were there guys, you don't have to name them though, but were there guys like you kind of had like a list, like, yeah, you're done, like, cause you could just tell, like, where instead of yelling at them, Saban just starts ignoring them. Cause that's normally what happens, right? When you got a real big problem, you yell at the people that you think you can get something out of, right? You stop yelling when you realize that, I just got to replace them. Or was it just kind of come naturally? Like you just.
Well, I think the biggest issues were some of the guys were our best players and they were older, like, juniors and seniors at the time. It was like, all right, you'll phase out. But the younger guys in that group, and I'm trying to think of some names, like you've heard them talk about Roy Upchurch being called Irrelevant Roy. And like, there was just a group of like 5 or 6 guys that was like Breakfast Club. Like they couldn't give them enough Breakfast Club. Like these guys didn't even care that they had Breakfast Club and were having to log roll at 5 a.m., and just puking their guts out every morning, and they just mess up again. And Roy was kind of one of them and then Roy finally was like, dude, I've got to get my life together here. Like this is all passing me by. Brandon Dedrick was one of those guys that ended up, kind of turning the corner, but there were guys that didn't. I mean, trying to think, like you remember the name Prince Hall? Prince Hall, but
I remember Prince Hall.
Could not get right, and then you get Rolando McClain brought in, and it's like, yeah, dude, bye, like you're out of here. And I don't even remember at what point that was. That might even have been the spring of 2007, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like, okay, that's over. Brandon Fanny, another one. Love Brandon Fanny, but it's like, all right, dude, bye. Like you're not gonna survive here, man, if you can't do right. Good dudes, guys that were in my signing class, but
yeah, I could see you being really nervous about all that, like working extra hard because you're like, man, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do exactly what this guy tells me to do.
You know what's funny, man, and I will never forget this, is I had my own issues when I was young. I mean, anybody who gets to college at 18, like, dude, it's like your head's swimming. You don't even know what's going on. I didn't even I played in a triple option offense in high school. Like I was still learning to play O-line kind of in the style that they wanted us to. I mean, I literally played left tackle on a right-handed stance in high school. So I had my own issues, and I'm a year and a half into it when Shula gets fired. I redshirted, and then my redshirt freshman year is when he got fired. And when Saban got there and was like, hey, I don't care what's happened before. You guys are all welcome here, and you can turn over a new leaf. Like, we're going to start from zero. Like, I took that and ran with it. I was like in the best shape of my life. I ended up winning a position battle that spring with I think it was Chris Capps at the time, and started at right tackle from game one my sophomore year from Nick Saban's first game. So yeah, I mean, like I definitely had my issues, but I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, he's going to let us kind of start over and, hit the ground running. And I took advantage of that. It's one of the reasons I have an issue with Deion Sanders and the way he approached what he did at Colorado. Was like, we're bringing in Louis, you guys aren't getting it done. You need to get out of here. And I'm like, I can't even imagine if Nick Saban had walked in and said that, where my life would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so it stinks for a lot of those guys. But it's a different era now, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'll give the Kalen DeBoer coaching staff and him a lot of credit, because I was pretty critical of the lack of discipline that team had last year.
Yeah, same.
And some people were upset with us for the Malachi Moore thing against Vanderbilt. And I know Malachi's a good guy. I've met him before, and I pull for him in the NFL. And it's not that I don't like him as a person, but you can't have those moments where you just absolutely lose your mind. And now look at Vanderbilt. I mean, like, they're a good program, they just beat LSU, and they straight up beat LSU. It wasn't.
Oh, dude, that game was
surprise.
Not close.
They just won. Yeah, they just won. Like, they're just good, and they're going to beat other teams this year, right? And we may play them again. I mean, that could be who Alabama plays for the SEC championship or in the playoff. They're that good. Are we that good? And then after watching the Florida State game, you're like, okay, this guy's going to get fired. Greg Byrne, there's people that don't like him. And all of a sudden you're wondering, like, what this athletic department's going to look like. And I said at the time, the only way that you quell this is that you win games. And it's not just that he's winning games to me. It's that they've addressed the problems that they had. They're a disciplined football team, man. And they play the game the right way, and they are smart. And I didn't see this coming. I mean, not to the extent that I watch them and think, when I'm making notes through a football game, there's never plays where I'm like, well, the one play that Simpson threw back across his body, and then you see DeBoer just jump his ass. Like, you're like, he's there. And then I watch him in the post-game press conferences, and he's saying the right things, which means that they're focused on the right things.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is that we're not happy-go-lucky anymore. We're like, you know what? We got to worry about the next half. We got to worry about the next game. We'll enjoy this for a second, but we can't. That was the change that needed to be made.
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And I think that, I get that Kalen DeBoer last year with this roster, with this locker room, is kind of walking, a razor's edge a little bit. And it's different because these guys can just transfer whenever they want to. You ruffle some feathers and they're just like, I'm out, and that's what he was dealing with last year. And so you try to understand it from that perspective, but I'm with you. The Malachi Moore thing, and I stand by everything I said after that last year. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous that he was allowed to do that. And, really didn't, face many consequences. I feel like Kalen DeBoer reacted crazier with that throw that you're talking about Saturday from Ty Simpson across his body than he did from Malachi Moore last year. As the guy's kicking the football and throwing his mouthpiece and refused to come out of the game. It's crazy. But like I said, I think we're seeing the evolution of Kalen DeBoer. I also think, and we haven't talked about this guy enough, Ryan Grubb has brought an edge to this program that was not there last year. He really has. I still have problems with Ryan Grubb's run schemes. I think he needs help. It was my biggest concern when he was hired. I told you Seattle could not run the football. They didn't even try to run the football at times last year when he was there. There are times when I watch our offensive scheme, our run game, and I'm like, man, he really needs some help in terms of getting this thing going. But, man, he deserves a lot of credit for kind of having that edge. Kane Womack as well. I mean, I have issues with his defense. I think a lot of old school Alabama players have issues with what he does defensively. But, man, they come up with big play after big play after big play. You cannot deny that some of the turnovers that he's been able to get have flipped these games this year completely. And, not just this year, but last year. So it's been fun to watch. The evolution's been fun. Hopefully they can keep on winning. But they, like you said, they got another couple of tough games ahead of them if they're going to make it to Atlanta and beyond that.
Yeah, well, maybe if he'd addressed that issue against Vanderbilt last year, they wouldn't have had that lack of discipline collapse that they had at the end of the year, and he probably looks back on that season and goes, they left something out on the table last year. They should have been a team in the college football playoff.
Well,
they lost to
Mick, you tell me,
awful Oklahoma team.
That is the one thing that I think concerns you about games like the one coming up.
Yep.
Right? Because you look at it and you're like, okay, he's always been kind of good against top 25 teams. But what do there's still some lingering effects of being a bad team on the road. It happened at Florida State, happened obviously numerous times last year. And you look at it and go, okay, can we cross this one off the checklist? Can this be another hurdle that you kind of get over? And so, you have to start buying in and believing that he's going to, rally the troops and get these guys to play at a high level. But I think I'm with a lot of Alabama fans. It's still in the back of your head, like, okay, I still want to see this hurdle. I still want to see you clear this kind of thing. Can we be, and it's funny, Mick, because you do it, I do it, we all do it, where you're like, okay, this noon game on the road is going to be where they might trip up because it's early start and, or this one against this offense with a dual threat quarterback. That's what's going to get you. Or, or it's Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's beaten you 2 of the last 3 years. Josh Heupel knows how to attack. This one's going to get you. And it just, they keep rolling along and they're making plays and they're just so, like I said to start, they're so well-rounded, man. They can do so many different things well that as soon as you take one away, they can beat you the other way. And that's what makes them such a good team.
No, I agree with you that this is one of those weeks where if you're at Alabama, I've heard Lane Kiffin talk about Nick Saban. I've heard Jay Coker talk about Nick Saban and the way that he approached some of these games. It's a 2:30 kickoff against South Carolina. You're going to be a heavy favorite. I don't know what it is. I could look it up right now. But that. And what Saban would do was just be harder on you when you were having success than when you were having problems. And the reason is because he didn't want to get complacent. He didn't want guys to forget that you have another opponent and you have a bullseye on your back. I'm curious to see, and I got a feeling that Kalen DeBoer, one of the best qualities that he has is that he obviously listens. Like when Brian Harsin was the coach of Auburn, people would complain and he just didn't figure it out. Like Hugh Freeze, he reading the press stuff because some of that could probably help him. Is he listening to other coaches? He says he is, Did you watch his demeanor on the sideline when things don't go well? And they're not going to keep going well because he's not positive enough. Kalen DeBoer seems like the kind of guy from our year and a half with him as our Alabama head coach is like that is smart enough to know what he doesn't know and learns from things like that. And so I'm curious, like this is a big game in that capacity because after that, you're playing ranked LSU, you're playing ranked Oklahoma, and then you're going to go to Auburn. All those games you're going to be really paying attention to. So that makes this another trap game, but even more so because South Carolina has played so poorly. But if there's one thing that about Shane Beamer teams is that when you least expect them to play well, they jump up and beat teams.
I couldn't agree more with everything you're talking about, man. And Nick Saban, you just knew, like, dude, you knew no matter how hard you practiced on a Monday or Tuesday like this, you knew you were going to get your butt chewed. Like there was no avoiding it. It was like he was out there with binoculars trying to pick out the first guy that he could find loafing so he could make a freaking statement to start the week. You just knew it was coming to the point where, us older guys in 08 and 09, it's like, yeah, dude, we better be freaking rolling when we get on the field or else you're going to be the target of that. That's going to be the rant. I think the whole thing at South Carolina, you mentioned they are Bama's 13.5 point favorites, which honestly, I think that's an interesting line for a lot of different reasons. But, you look at the talent they have. They have guys that can break it open if need be. Offensively, they have. I think, have we discussed who their offensive coordinator is at all on this show? Do you know who their
No,
offensive
but
coordinator?
that's a great question for you. Your former head coach, Mike Shula.
I was gonna say, man, Mike Shula being the head coach over there is such an interesting wrinkle in this entire ordeal. But I don't think of Mike Shula and think Lenore Sellers. I'll say that, even though Mike Shula did have Cam Newton, I believe, over in Carolina for a little bit, and that's kind of something that he's done in the past. But they're struggling in a lot of different ways. Shane Beamer's over there trying to tell people he's not going to Virginia Tech. When I'm like, why would Virginia Tech want Shane Beamer right now? One of those things. South Carolina is just one of those programs where if you can win 8 games a year, they're going to be pretty stoked about it. But we've seen this game in the past, Mick. I mean, 2010, they still live off that Steven Garcia game over there in South Carolina. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Kalen DeBoer. I'm not going to say he's listening to other people, but I'm sure that there's been a couple of conversations with Nick Saban. He's got a couple of former head coaches on the staff, and they seem to have pointed, this ship in the right direction in a lot of different ways.
Well, it's an interesting matchup, and again, it's 2:30 on Saturday. In this past game, Jam Miller played, even though he had a concussion that knocked him out of the game against Missouri. Mike, I wasn't a big fan of that. I'm sorry, I'm just wasn't. He didn't really have a big game against Tennessee, right? I worry about the long-term effects of these concussions. Man, I didn't even play the game at that level, but just being around it for a long time. Like, look, this is how long I've been around Alabama football. I just wanted to show you that. You see that right there?
I didn't see it.
Can you see that picture right there?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's me interviewing Dennis Franchione.
There you go.
So that's old school, okay? And that's young Mick.
I haven't seen many pictures of Dennis Franchione, obviously way before my time.
Where are they now?
I'm sitting there looking at it going, who are you handing a cigar to? Like, I didn't know that was a microphone. I'm thinking you're handing a cigar.
Microphone. I probably should just make it to where you guys can see it better.
I thought you were asking like your dad or somebody if they wanted to smoke, or your uncle. Hey man, check this out. We just beat Tennessee. Light a stogie up.
How many of you guys have the Dennis Franchione bobblehead doll? They had the Arby's did a deal with Alabama. they had the Dennis Fran. Oh, I see it. I got one in here in the studio.
That's unbelievable.
Arby's did a Dennis Franchione bobblehead doll. You could get him with a white Bama polo, or you could get him with a crimson Bama polo. That's how long I go back, Mike. And I just worry with these concussions. As much as I want to win a football game, I just want these guys to leave and be healthy. And, and look, the training staff, it's their deal. They know better than I do, but just being an OG, man, I worry about that. But we did see Daniel Hill get in there and run some dudes over, truck some guys.
Yeah. I mean, he was fine. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back and look at the stat book. Yeah. Jeremy Bernard had 4 carries for 50 yards, which was funny. He's doing the end around stuff and things like that. But it is, I understand what you're talking about in terms of Jam Miller being active for this game. Like I said, he was a non-factor, 12 carries for 15 yards. They never did get it going. And that's one of my frustrations with Ryan Grubb's offense. It's just very heavily reliant on movement on double teams, and, pressing the hole and things like that. And there's not a lot of misdirection. So they'll get that sorted out though, but I'm with you. Jam Miller, that's one of those things where I know that they've gone out and done studies, and it's the repeated, every play impact that seems to be more of an issue when it comes to concussions and CTE and all that. And hopefully they've, obviously done plenty of studies and looked at his head injury and deemed him okay. So all we can do is kind of trust what that is at this point and see what happens. But, I proud of him that he wanted to grit it out, I guess. And you got to trust the training staff. They're making the right decisions by him.
Guys, make sure you're part of what we do here. Avenue D, hit that QR code right there. I've got gear for you guys to give away. I mean, it was awesome at the Tailgate Show on Friday, which, by the way, this Friday, we're going to be recording our radio show at Coastal in Orange Beach. Mike, make sure that you tell the Johnson family, including the big unit, to swing by and hang out with us 1 to 3 on Friday, Coastal Orange Beach. But we had a huge showing for the Tennessee show at Innisfree. It was awesome meeting guys like Kenyon Drake, who jumped on with us. We had Dylan Lee and Richard Mullaney. So it was cool. Ryan Anderson was there, and then Nacho Alabama, the man that wears the mask, the luchador mask, was there as well. So I mean, we have a variety of guests.
Well, I haven't heard the name Richard Mullaney in years, dude.
Yeah,
what a pull. That was great.
He was. You remember we watched their championship game together. We sat together in the stands, and those dudes, man, like, you talk about a tough game, man. That was a tough win for those guys, back and forth and making plays. And I asked Kenyon Drake about that kickoff return for a touchdown that iced the game. Because remember, he hit the pylon and the ball came out.
Yeah.
And he said that when he just looked up and saw that the official signaled touchdown. So he knew that he would. And then
you're supposed to give me a statue of that. Whatever happened with that?
I got one in here.
Man, it's like you've been promised me a statue of that for 10 years now.
I know. They with the new life art. Hey, what I can do, Mike, is I can get you a to make up for your statue. Pick one of these out. Do you want the Caden Proctor print for your
I want the statue. I promised.
Do you want the Kenyon Drake picture of the
I want the Heisman sized statue. I don't want the crispy screen. I want the.
You want the statue? I have to ask if they have them. Usually,
epic play.
Guys, Bama Tailgate is our promo code on that. So, all right, before we go to Kalshi, because we got some stuff to talk about, Heisman race and some other things. Your final thoughts on the Alabama-Tennessee win? I
mean, just another, like I said, well-rounded victory. They outgained you. I think they were. I had to look it up. I think they were 4 or 5 on 4th down. So they had some scrappy plays. They had a good game plan for you. But in the end, man, Ty Simpson is the dude. The guy is playing at such a high level right now. The offensive line's doing a nice job protecting him when asked. And your defense is making plays, creating turnovers, and doing things that, we've started to grow accustomed to. I think they've made a couple of nice switches in the lineups. Talked about Damani Jackson last week. See him start to get edged out a little bit. Saw more and more Michael Carroll at the right tackle spot. And this is a team that, Mick, just storyline wise, reminds me so much of 2008 Bama, where really you're starting to find your way. You get some ugly wins. Obviously, they have a loss. We didn't lose one in the regular season, but you're making some statements along the way and kind of, cementing yourself in Kalen DeBoer's second year as a premier team. And hopefully they can keep it rolling.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on that, and I think that this South Carolina game gives you another opportunity to go out there and continue to prove that we're not looking back at what we did the week before, and we're focused on what we need to do right now. You know, and I feel like that was the problem that these guys had last year. They're in great position again. Moving up in the rankings. Where are we ranked right now? And
I think it's 4.
Up to 4, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but all of that stuff, like kind of like what Nick Saban used to say, none of it really matters, right? I mean, you got to go out there and play the next game. And how hard is that for a locker room to do? That's the question that I have. How hard is that? You guys in 2009 were kind of like a Rocky Balboa type of team. You were no one ever thought you were going to be the national champions. They thought it was going to be Texas or Florida.
Yeah.
And you were like fighting for respect. Then after that, the 2011 championship team, the way that they beat up on Notre Dame, like after that, or was that 2012? But anyway, they got to the point where it was like everybody just expected Alabama.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. It's every team is built differently. Every coaching staff goes about things in different ways. And we were just in 08, 09, we were a tough team. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, we played to our strengths, which was our defense, our run game. We didn't try to do, anything crazy through the air. It was just efficient enough to kind of keep teams off balance. And we were going to get movement on you north and south and, allowed our running backs to cut off that. I mean, It's just crazy, Mick, because you know this as well as I do. 5 yards was a great play. 5 yards in the run game back then, phenomenal. Like, dude, gained 5 on that one. Now you get 5, and it's like, oh man, got a 2nd down 5 coming up here. Like, what are we doing? You know, we can't be okay with 5 yards on 1st down. Like, we need explosives. So it's just they're built differently, and they're going about their business in the right way.
All right, let's move now to our conversation with Kalshi, right? Kalshi.com, promo code Bama Tailgate, $10 free when you sign up with our Bama Tailgate link and trade up to $100. You're saying to yourself, some of you guys know already, but if you don't, what is Kalshi? Well, it's the first and the largest federally regulated prediction market in the U.S. It's approved by the CFTC. And it's a lot of fun to me, right? It's legal in all 50 states. You get better odds, no house vig, prices set by supply and demand, no limits, winners don't get cut off, live trading, flexibility, transparent pricing. And then it's not just football. It's not just the NFL and college football. It's a lot of stuff, right? You get to just kind of predict things. And that includes when you talk about, science and crypto and pop culture and sports and all this stuff. Anyway, let me start with today's, Mike. There's a movie coming out. Did you ever watch the movies that came out? One of them was like I think it was Walk the Line, and it was like the Johnny Cash story. Oh, yeah. And then there was like the Ray Charles one. I loved it. I forget what was called. But there were two. Jamie Foxx was Ray Charles. Ray, yeah. Two excellent movies. Well, there's a new one coming out. It's about Bruce Springsteen. It's called Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere. Okay, the question for you is Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie, right? Above 60, above 62, above 65, or above 80. Just give me what you think.
First of all, here's what I do know. People love musician biopics. There's no doubt. Like, dude, what's the one? What's the one about Queen called? Is it Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, that was another good one.
Dude, I mean, people love these movies. Even the satire, the Dewey Cox, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. I mean, people just love these movies. So whatever is 80 and above, I'm going with that, dude. Like, people Walk the Line is one of my favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. You go like any kind of musical biopic, people can't get enough of it. I mean, they just really can't. So yeah, give me the above 80 all day. I think they walk away with that.
Yeah, look, above 45, 97% of people are there. But above 80, I mean, that would put you in unprecedented territory.
Yeah. I'm prepared to make that leap, my friend. I know nothing about the director or the stars of this movie. I just know that people love musical biopics. Yeah. Selena, Selena's a movie that, dude, come on. These musicians that have these movies made about them, you can't make enough of these things. People love it. They eat it up, and no matter how bad or good of a person that the actual person was, they're always, glorified in like these movies that they're like the greatest of all time. Look, man, it is what it is.
What we were looking at yesterday, the Heisman Trophy odds for, this year's Heisman Trophy winner. And, I'll tell you what, the guy on top is a guy that could definitely win it. Who do you think is the guy that's going to win the Heisman Trophy? And you don't have to say our guy.
Well, first of all, let me say that I would have to believe he's favored. I usually pay attention to FanDuel, but they don't release their odds until Tuesday. So I'm curious to see what Kalshi's got. But it was Carson Beck, from my understanding, last week, and he threw 4 picks on Friday night in a big loss to Louisville for Miami. So I think Ty Simpson's probably the favorite. I'm over here in Georgia, pay a lot of attention to Gunnar Stockton. He had a phenomenal top 10 matchup against Ole Miss the other day, threw 4 or 5 touchdowns, was great in that. So I'd say he's got a pretty good shot as well. And then, the former Bama kid, I'm trying to see what you got. It's real small on my screen, but the former Bama kid, Julian Sayin, I can see them going that route. Ohio State, no matter what Ohio State's like if they're a good team, their quarterback's going to have a shot at being a finalist. Always. Yeah. So it's just the way it rolls.
Ty Simpson, and Fernando Mendoza. He's the quarterback of Indiana, right at the top. But Julian's saying with a big game, trending in the right direction here, and Diego Pavia up 4 to 11% chance, or at least where the money is so far on here. So, I mean, you're talking about, 100 and almost $1 million going to this one. To this
here's my biggest question about Mendoza, because I am a huge fan of him, and I think he's done a lot of good things. Now, if him and Ty Simpson, neither one were to lose again this year, which I think that there's probably some losses in there between these two teams. I don't know how that pans out, but my question about Fernando Mendoza is, like, do they really have a marquee game to where he's going to be able to display himself as a Heisman candidate? There's no way there's anybody worth the crap left on their schedule. There's no way. Like, they played their one game against Oregon. Here it is right here. I got it. Okay. Here, you're going to face off with UCLA this weekend. Then you get Maryland at Penn State. That could have been the one, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And you finish with Wisconsin and Purdue. I mean, you're just, like, if you're Mendoza, dude, there's just no way. You don't have enough people watching those games to be favored in any kind of Heisman. I would fade Mendoza in those conversations for sure.
All right, last one. Big game tonight in baseball. You're a baseball guy. You're a guy that could have played baseball instead of football, maybe in your collegiate days. It's Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, the sacrificial lamb of the eventual World Series champion Dodgers. It's it's the Mariners and the Blue Jays. This is a really weird series because the Mariners went to Toronto, won the first 2 games. Then Toronto goes back, wins the next 2. The Mariners salvage 1, and they lose last night. So tonight, what's going to happen?
It's at the Rogers Center, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like the Mariners are a team of destiny. I don't know what the line is on this, but it just feels like the Mariners, even though they're on the road, they feel like a team of destiny. I'm with you. I think they're either one of these teams is sacrificial lamb. And I know that people are probably skewing towards Toronto because they are the home team in a game like this. Game 7, it seems like the home team just always finds a way. But Seattle, man, the big dumper, like, that team just feels like a team of destiny. That market's never been to a World Series, dude. Like, it feels like now's the time. They'll go in, they'll get, the floor mopped with them by Shohei Ohtani and whoever else over there. And, that'll be that. But
so they got it at right now. Toronto's trending up 19% to 55% to win this in 7 games. This is what baseball is all about. You guys can play it, though. Go to Kalshi.com. Use our promo code Bama Tailgate, $10 free when you sign up using our link, and you play $100. But it's all legal. It's fun, and obviously I like it. I like asking you guys questions like, are the hot dogs at Costco gonna increase by the end of the year in price? How much is Arizona iced tea gonna be? Is the government gonna admit that there's aliens? All the things that make everyone uncomfortable. They ask those questions on there, and when there's an election, this is where they go to get those election. When you see the election.
What questions are you asking making people uncomfortable? The hot dogs at Costco?
The alien
question. Make me feel really comfortable.
People don't want to talk. They don't. Me. I love talking about my aliens, and nobody wants to talk about that.
You got weird vibes on those aliens.
I'll tell you, man. I'll convince you. Convince me Bama's going to win against South Carolina, Mike. Just tell me they are.
Yeah, look, man, I think when it comes down to this game, opportunistic defense has been the name of the game. Lenore Sellers has shown the ability, really that entire offense has shown the ability to turn the ball over. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think it is going to be a tough game. I think this, South Carolina's got talent. Maybe not as talented as they were a year ago, but they've got dudes on the field that can compete with you at every single level. And so you're going to have to be opportunistic. You're going to have to continue to play at a high level. If you're Ty Simpson, none of these letdown games coming off 4 straight ranked and then playing a mid-afternoon game in Columbia, South Carolina. And I think we have the leadership in place, Mick. I think we have fully transitioned from being a coach-led team to a player-led team. I think Ty Simpson's the perfect guy for that. So hopefully they keep it rolling. I think Bama's probably got a hiccup at some point. I just don't think it's going to be this weekend.
All right. Wrapping things up, I want to tell you guys that I've got to get off here and go work out. And that is thanks to the people at Bod Coach, my Bod Coach, bodcoach.com/Bama. And that's how you can check it out as well. It's a personalized trainer that texts you every day. You need a workout routine. I woke up last night and I thought, you know what? I want to hit I'm going to do some core stuff today. So I'll text Evan and then he'll send me back a workout. Hey, you got any machines? No, I'm at home. Okay, here's this. Get your yoga mat out. Do this, do this, do this. That's what's great about it. It's having a personalized trainer that's going to be able to take everything that you need and you have and turn it into a workout routine. If getting in shape is important to you, and, look, man, I try my best to be able to go out and have all the drinks that I want. And the only way that I can do that at my age is by working out. So you guys take advantage of our Bod Coach. And don't forget that we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Go to the Golden Moon Casino, the Timeout Sports Lounge. Look, giving the timeout, hitting the microphone. You can do that too. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. You feel confident that Bama's going to cover again? Go up there, put your money down. 20 big screen TVs, full-size bar. You got the window to get service if you need that. You got individual kiosks, all that, and everything you need at Golden Moon Casino. Mike, get some rest. Roll Tide, my friend, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game.
Let's roll.
In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.